makes the day, and golden skies where our dreams can play. Waking up in Old Angeles City, heart and soul, you can start this day. Can't wait to be home again. On the streets, the life begins. Dreams so sweet, world awakens in this heat. Can't get you off my mind. Beauty and destiny so fine. Angeles City, morning shining bright. Every day, a new delight. Busy markets, bustling sound. Voices blend and hearts unbound. Colors dance beneath the sun. Life in every corner run. Endless smiles and endless friends. Feeling close and feeling near. In the Philippines we find simple joys that fill our mind. Can't get you off my mind. Beauty and destiny so fine. Angeles.
Hey, good morning, good morning. What is going on?
Good morning, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Puntang sa tan.
There's Mary saying good morning.
Yes, he's over here.
Hey, Sarah's in the house. Fallen Sinner's in the house. We'll let the
Hey, Linda. Hey, K Dallas. How you doing, man?
K Dallas is in the house. Let me put up our regular chat thing here. Trying to wake up. It's been a rough couple days. Mostly I've been sleeping and just feels as normal, like a flu going on. So I've been resting and missed out on Wednesday. And George met with Scott. Scott is on the road. He should be at his next destination already. I didn't calculate. I know there's a time difference and everything. So
Well, I haven't seen him saying that he landed yet.
Gotcha. Yeah.
He has a great seat. He's got the exit aisle seat, so he's got all the leg room in the world. Yeah.
Legroom City, huh?
Speaking of which, let's talk about Scott for a second because this may pertain to you. Scott has his own channel, Scott in the World, and they went to a resort here in the Philippines, and we took the family swimming and everything else. Here's the thing, though. Whenever we book, like resorts and stuff like that, of course, first have to do your due diligence, whatever. And it's kind of like whenever me and Heidi like look for food, I always have this rule, and Heidi's like she agrees with him for the most part. Here's what I usually say: we've had that before, or we've been here before, and it's safe. Right? Whenever we order, like, well, we've had that before. And same thing whenever well, me and my family anyway, we tend to book the same place. Like for example, ASEA, because that's what brings everything together. In the intro, there's ASEA where my family goes there a lot. The reason being is they've been there before. They know the quality of the food. What I'm getting at is sometimes you get to a place like, for instance, we went to this Airbnb and they had a pool. We released that video, and I said, this pool does not have chlorine. Remember?
Yeah.
Now that's a big issue, guys, because if you gulp that water, Bowl City, I'm just saying.
Right.
Right. So
keep your lips shut.
So what? So that's what I'm saying is like when me and Heidi used that pool, we tried not to use it that much because
Well, what happened to Scott?
it's questionable. Oh, they got sick, but we don't know if it's the food, we don't know if it's the water.
Yeah.
Point being is, you know, things happen, but what I'm saying is, of course, like for example, that me and Heidi, if we're gonna book a place, we're not gonna book that same place where the pool didn't have chlorine.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course not. Today, we're going to just discuss everything that's going on here in the Philippines. I ran into an article. Well, it's not an article, it was a uh, group chat where it was Filipinos and expats that were just making complaints overall about the Philippines and stuff. So I will go over that later. But me and George have been watching the last few days where a week ago, we had the live stream saying this, and that was going to happen. And they're slowly revealing that this stuff is slowly happening. Oh, we won't raise the prices for a month. And then they announce they're already raising the prices. And it has to happen. A lot of the jeepney drivers are not driving, and the trike drivers are not. And it's leaving a lot of people stranded in the big cities, and people are starting to walk. And then they said they didn't think they'd be canceling flights. They're starting to cancel flights. And so it's slowly happening. And I mentioned, to the people, get your medicine, because those prices are going to go up, and there'll be a delay in stock as they're doing all of this. So it'll just be a slow progress.
Right. For those of you who are not here or leaving here, again, I don't make the rules. I'm not in charge of parts of the country or any part of the country for that matter. What I'm saying is, and this is a fact, if you already pre-booked a ticket or paid for a ticket that is inbound or outbound that is on Philippine Airlines, you might want to look for a backup. That's all I'm saying. The reason being is for during this gas shortage crisis, the first things they're going to ground are the planes. Now, I don't know how the fuel supply is with those other airlines, but Philippine Airlines obviously is kind of questionable at this point. So what I'm saying is, if you have an outbound or inbound flight on Philippine Airlines,
Actually, probably anyone right
I
now with
understand
what's
that. But what I'm
going
saying
on.
is, they already announced it. That's what I'm getting at. Philippines already
Yeah.
announced they might ground their aircraft.
Well, this is kind of like the pandemic. We just have to keep watching one day at a
Yeah,
time. It really is. And it's like I asked George the other day, who do you trust more? Actually, that was this morning. Who do you trust more, the Philippine government or the U.S. government?
that's like a
Trick question.
it's a question.
Remember what I told you? What's the answer?
I don't
Trust,
trust
trust,
nobody.
trust an old dog.
Right?
An old dog
We
we trust.
Yeah. No, I don't.
That's
I
it.
don't trust
You
no
trust
government,
yourself, really. You just have
no
to go by your gut
no
feeling.
administration. Doesn't matter
Mm-mm.
which administration it is.
Because just less than 2 weeks ago, they were saying, "Oh, well, we won't raise the price, or the prices aren't going to do this, and LPG is secure." There are people out in the province and other areas that left and right are complaining they can't get the LPG. And me and George didn't even take no chance because we said there would be possible power outages because with the OFWs coming home and people not working, getting ready to lose jobs, it could be, if this thing doesn't wrap up soon, we're talking there could be outages. That's what happens during the holiday. Our power goes up and down when people are home during the holidays, and that's in the city. And so we in advance had bought some of them charcoal, the coconut charcoal. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
they're
we have
stored.
charcoal because we do have we have an LPG backup. However, since it's in gas prices, that's all we have. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's up
We can't.
to
Yeah. So
yeah.
now we have the old school, fire
Yeah,
up the
in case
grill.
we're down for more than
Yeah.
a day or two. Yeah, at least
Yeah,
we
we have a
can.
grill. We have a hot plate for the grill, so we can like cook. It's like camping.
Pretty
That
much.
kind of stuff. And also we got 2 extra batteries for Heidi's oxygen machine.
Yeah.
Right. So that way it'll operate at least.
Yeah, I was telling Be
Yeah.
Free about that. I said that we got, yeah, have to for the for that, because we have the little ones, the power things, but at this time that also, at least the other one will run it for a few hours, and those other ones only run it for like what, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was a necessity, so we did purchase that. And yeah, so we're just preparing slowly, and if anything else, then we'll just have a barbecue at our birthday. We can invite everybody. We've been talking about a barbecue forever. We could just have a, out there next to our horse.
Right.
I told George we're going to buy a horse. That's what I said. I said, you think we could put a horse there in the yard? Oh, shit. Hey, Sarah. There's like all possibilities. And so I'm going to go to Fallen Center, not a problem. Call me insensitive, but whatever is outside of my control, I generally try not to worry. Yeah, I hear it's stressful, harm for me, yes. So we are not, it's not like we sit around 24/7 panicking. We came from Florida where all the hurricanes were, and living in Mexico for a little while, and living in the Philippines for over 5 years now. We're kind of used to different things, and we rolled in during the pandemic. So it's we spend most of the day just board gaming, playing with the animals, watching the Gordon Ramsay cooking shows, Deadly Women. George enjoys Deadly Women, the show. True crime, right?
It's kind of like this. It's don't worry about what you can't control, like Fonseca says. However, you worry about what you can do about it. However, there's limits. For example,
like our meds, we couldn't wait on that. We did that about a week ago. So
you can get a backup, but that's all you can do, and that's the best you can do.
Yeah.
But not doing anything is worse.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's also things that are beyond your control. Like, for example, as a prepper or former prepper, because I'm not the same. I'm not a prepper anymore. Now, for example,
I got a strap on for George.
There's some preppers with bunkers and everything like that, and I'm gonna tell you right now,
you missed it.
The bunkers are only as good as long as the nukes don't fly. The moment those nukes fly, it's a moot point at that point. That's what I'm saying. You can have a bunker.
It's a different level.
You might as well have, been blown to dust. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference to prepping, and now you're just making yourself miserable. That same thing with, again, like overthinking things, like anxiety. I looked at Heidi because Heidi worries about.
Well, I've been like, I've been like that. I'm a mother, and I'm the one that sets a lot of stuff for the house. George does other manly things like assemble and run out for stuff, and he hunts animals and all that stuff. Did you hear me say I got your strap on for you and the animals? No, that's not what I meant. I'm talking about reins. Like, I'm gonna make you guys like a set of reindeers.
Oh.
Yeah. Wrong one there, George. Bag to calm down. No, you and the guys are gonna pull my sled. You and the cats.
Oh man.
That type of straps.
I thought I had to start having slaves.
What the hell, George? You can hashtag cancel George. Probably hashtag for me too. Make a hashtag, guys. But no, it's that's just always been me. I always make plans way in advance. George is the opposite. He lives day to day, but so do a lot of Filipinos, babe. I think some of the new younger ones start to, and you'll see where they're not buying day to day on the food and everything. But yeah, so we're just.
No, but they buy new cars and put themselves into debt.
They said that
stuck in their parents' houses forever.
The e-vehicles are up by 500% just in one area alone. And I'm like, how is that? How is it in this economy with only a percentage of richer Filipinos, is it up by that much? So that's crazy. I could see the e-bikes and stuff because a lot of them will finance it at the 60, 80, and some of those are up to 300,000 pesos. It's still a big amount of money for Filipinos, but a lot of them are turning to that. They're hiring for it because there's a lot of sales going on. But we've got the e-trike, and so we're grateful for that. And
Still gets used a lot.
yeah, so yeah, because it's just hard to find parking and hard when we come back to find parking even in our own subdivision. So
Anywhere.
yeah,
Anywhere.
yeah. And Harry said, hello, what is going on?
Harry.
Yes, amigo. I think George was telling me he read your comment. He landed yesterday in Manila on his way to Dumaguete. Yeah, be safe on that. Let us know how that goes for real. Hey, Slick Rick is in the house. The cats are moving around. Hey, what's going on? The end of the world. It could be. Not necessarily. It'll be the fittest, or what do they say that? Not the survival of the fittest.
I forgot what station it is, but it's in the U.S. In the year 2000, a radio station in the U.S. It was well, I was in Orlando during that time. They played "It's the End of the World as We Know It" 24 hours. 24 hours. And the station, that's all they played nonstop.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's the end of the world.
The pandemic, yeah, they gave money in the U.S. for the most part. This is costing us money now. Big difference, yeah. Yep, for sure. I mean, imagine like the cost on the Filipinos. And I was just telling George that he bought 10 gallons the other day. It was almost $60. I made that post and I showed you guys the photo, and that doesn't even fill up the car. So imagine a jeepney driver, and that's at that rate. So a jeepney driver, what was it on that? 120 or something? It's something outrageous. So in other words, to fill up a jeepney is probably $100 or 5,000
Well,
pesos or
here I
more.
did see 151.
Right. So that's
Yeah,
insane.
that was yesterday. I saw 151 yesterday.
So jeepney drivers are lucky to make $20 a day, 1,000 peso profit after gas and all of that, maybe 1,500 pesos. A good one, maybe 2,000 if he's hustling or something. So imagine that's 2,000 pesos, but then it costs 5,000 to actually fill your gas tank. It just doesn't make any sense. That's why a lot of them are not driving. I know they had the jeepney strike and everything, but that's not why they're not driving. They're not making any money. Their
No, they're not
families are
making any
going
money.
hungry. And they gave them that 5,000 pesos. It's a one time thing, and it's probably enough for one day. That's it.
Yeah, 5,000.
Because that's got to be a 20-gallon tank on those buses. Their jeepneys are basically a bus, a smaller bus. So they got to be burning through that diesel. So they're not. I know Manila was talking about doing the next 7 to 14 days. The mayor was talking about covering wages and gas for some of the jeepneys. He didn't say how many. They haven't put it all down so they can start giving free rides because people are walking. The MRT, the trains are filling up and backed up. It just kind of looking kind of crazy out there. Should have already stocked up on medications, have cash on hand, stock up on food and water and fuel. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So we started how long ago on some of those? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say. I think since the pandemic, we've always had X amount. But before the medicine, if we went without it, it was just basic medicine. It isn't like it is now where it's, a matter of life and death. So for George, like those stairs.
Right.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. If you're rich, you cannot worry. Big difference for low income persons and families. Yeah, will be the ones. Yeah. Good morning, Roger. Good morning. Good morning, Roger.
Well, the difference is, one, if you're of a lower case or don't have money in the bank, you can't stock up on the stuff, period. I mean, and even if you're rich, you're still limited. I mean, unless you have like an infinite amount of money. There's, but it's also, you can't
It's
overdo it either.
yeah,
Right?
it's kind of like us. We're not filthy rich, and we don't have the savings to go out and buy sacks and sacks of rice like we've been seeing some places. There was a woman that had like 8, 9 bags of rice in the back of her car, and she wasn't in a store either. And she had bought a bunch of big jugs of oil. It was just for her personal use. But we've like added things to like the stock we have. Like we added a few more oils, we added a few peanut butters, a couple cans of tuna. So we're just doing little stuff at a time. But the medicine was the bigger thing, and we've got in case the power goes down, I think we can cover ourselves. Maybe, hopefully, it's an every other day thing, but I don't know what we would do. But some of it is solar, so at least some of it we could get back.
Right. Also,
It'll take a while.
The difference also is, here's an example. A lot of you in the West don't
Good
know this or
morning.
experience this or see this. The ones that have never left the West. For example, I'm not talking about the regular working class, as in the gas station attendants. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the lavanderas, the ones that wash clothes, the housekeepers.
I never thought
you know
about
what I'm saying,
the cost.
maids, well, not so
Because
much.
doesn't what's his name
the
run
not-
off of gas?
Well,
His dryers?
Yeah, well, not them. I'm talking about the ones that wash, that go to your house,
Yeah.
like the what do you call that? The housemates, but are not lived in. The reason being is the yayas that are not lived in. The reason why I say not lived in, because if you live in, you get a weekly or a monthly wage. But if you like, you hire them in and they come in every day, they walk in every day, you pay them every day.
Like I do, George.
And the problem with that is, for example, like right now, the ones that can't go to work, they literally starve because they don't have money to buy food.
No, a lot of people live, a big portion of
Right.
the country live day to day. I watched that whole thing
Yeah,
on one of
day to
those
day,
documentary where the guy got X amount and like half of it went to go pay back those pay loans or something.
Right.
And they're always putting half that money because they borrowed so much money locally. What do they call those loans?
5, 6.
Yeah. So they borrow it from like local people, and then they usually give up their debit card for it to
Right.
be taken out. And it's really crazy the amount of interest and stuff. So like half his money went for that, and then they buy a couple eggs and some dried fish. It's crazy, and the guy works all day, and just to stay broke, it's it is very
Right.
eye opening.
And
Yeah.
those are very hard positions to maintain. The reason being is they don't necessarily make less than the other workers. However, everybody's been through this, especially when they were younger. When you get paid on once a week or even those once a month, you blow through that cash like crazy because when you have cash on hand, your hand is on fire. There's the saying. And what I'm saying is, imagine getting paid once, like every day. It's hard to hold that cash. It's really hard.
Yeah, because they really want to pay their debts. It was like that guy.
So
He was running around the rest of the day trying to pay people.
Right.
It was very, very.
So
It was stressful for me to watch it, just the way he was
Correct.
very
So
upset.
right now, there's tons of Filipinos that they're literally starving
Hand to
because
mouth, yeah.
this is the situation they're in.
And the trike drivers and the jeepney drivers
same
are
thing. They're
really
day
at
by day,
hand
yes.
right now. And the longer that this situation in the Middle East is going on every day, beings they claimed. And I don't know the latest. The last I heard, it was going to be put on hold for 10 more days. That's just 10 more days added to what's going on. And they said they had enough fuel till the end of June. I believe that is about as much as I believe George won't fall down them stairs on July 17th, 2026.
Right.
Right. So, anyways, I don't know if I don't trust no government at this point.
No.
They're at their word.
No.
They're talking about rationing the gas already.
Well, here's the thing.
So it'll last. They said they were going to ration, so it'll last till December. How's that going to happen?
Now, is there enough oil to last till June? No, I believe that part.
Okay, but what about them?
Is there enough gas to last till June? That's a different story. Those are
right. They got to create the gas.
stories.
Correct. They've got to produce the gas
So,
once it gets here.
Their wording is, I believe we have sufficient oil to last till June 30. I quote. Now, I believe that story, yes, because they said we have sufficient oil, not gas.
You know, it didn't even
oil.
strike me. I'm sitting there like, duh. I'm like,
Right. So I don't think they're
I was like,
lying on
shit,
that
I thought
one.
there was gas in those tankers. I guess it
No,
just didn't hit
it's
me. It's
crude
oil.
Crude
Ah.
oil, mind you, not refined oil, crude oil. So it has to go through a lot of processes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're saying that that could take a while. So it's just like, you know.
Yeah, so no, I believe him when he said we have sufficient oil. Yes, that's true because they can't process all that oil that fast.
Well, I just think about the whole thing. It's a good thing for the most part that we're retired and we're just doing the things, but it's the other 90%. Imagine, if we were, raising a family, raising kids together right now out there during this and stuff. It's like the kids back in the United States, they're struggling and stuff. It's really costly everywhere.
Getting a ride.
Yep.
There's like, in fact, when I met up with Scott, I arrived at Candy Palace like an hour early, and I was like, how is this possible? Then I realized there are no jeepneys.
Yeah, he contacted me. He's like, I'm just sitting here waiting for Scott, and I'm like,
there's no jeepneys. That's what it was.
Well, the traffic is thinning out everywhere. So usually it's, you guys seen that last video, how busy it was.
No jeepneys.
But God, what's that been? 7-10 days since we recorded that last bit?
There's
so
traffic,
you could see.
Don't get me wrong, but jeepneys that cause the traffic. The reason being is if you haven't been to the Philippines, jeepneys are like buses that pick up clients or customers
clients
wherever they feel like it.
George knows.
In the golden days, they pull over to the side of the road all the way and then pick you up. Now they just stop right there.
Right. Yeah. I was going to record, or George was, and I had a hard time getting around today. And I'm like, I'm sure if you guys have been watching, you've seen the videos on Facebook, and it's insane. These jeepneys, they're running like the world is on fire. You would think there was something else going on. But guys, it's hotter than fuck out there right now. Here comes the language. It is hot.
No, actually,
we're talking about Satan's ass hot.
Actually, it's so hot. This is no lie. My rear camera literally, for once, it didn't turn on like at all. There's nothing wrong with it, but it overheated. No,
it's hot. Like
it is that hot.
By like 11 o'clock, I stepped out there to get a package yesterday because George was with Scott, and I'm like, dude, it's hot.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's not even 10, 12 feet out there. And I was like, holy shit. And so speaking of which, we need to fill that. We have an oversized bucket that has like a feeder on it. It looks like chickens use it. It's big enough for the cats and the dog, but they went through the water again. They had a little bit of water this morning, but there's so many cats that eat here. We feed a bunch of outdoor cats and Willie, so we'll probably want to fill that up. It's extremely hot and set it under the... But no, dudes, it's hot. So these people are standing on the side of the road, and for how long? 30, 40 minutes sometimes, waiting for the next jeepney. I'm like, oh, hell no.
Or never.
I'd have to be going down to
Or
Walking
never. 'Cause
Street.
the reason being is because once that Jeep comes in, I mean,
I'd be taking one in the rear and one in the ear and being in the shade on Walking Street.
yeah, I mean, even a big jeepney, the max
Nothing from
capacity is
you?
like 24.
You see George
people,
just look at me. I said one in the
and that's
rear.
including a driver.
No response from you.
What's that?
You didn't hear what I said.
No, I guess not.
I said I'd be down on Walking Street in the shade on the side of the street, one in the rear and one in the ear.
Oh,
Ain't no way I was standing out there for a 9 to 5 working at the mall or something. I'd be putting George down there for one of those.
speaking of which, man, those streetwalkers might be right the same.
Oh my God.
Those are some right for JJ's just saying.
It's hot.
Whoa, wait. Some knockout power right there.
That's some Vegemite.
Holy
Our
crap.
own yeast base going on, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What you got going on there?
I don't know.
Breaking the rules again?
I don't know what you're talking
That right there.
about. Yeah.
What are you afraid of getting in trouble?
No. Well,
Better not.
oh, since you said so.
If you tell George not to, he does it. If I tell him to do it, he goes the opposite. If I tell him not to, he just goes the opposite way. It doesn't matter. I'm already slap your lips. Nah, don't share none with the dog.
It's toasted bread, guys. It's really good.
Ah, what are you doing, Pigsy Bear? What are you doing, Pigsy Bear? What are you doing, Pigsy Bear, huh? Huh? What are you doing, Pigsy Bear? Hi, kitty kitty. What are you doing?
Nothing.
What the hell? Why did you stop eating your shit? Pigsy's right here. Look, Pigsy came up here to see me. Look, there's Pigsy Bear. Oh, Pigsy. There's my Pigsy Bear. She come up to see me.
Aw.
Hi, Pigsy Bear. Yeah? What are you over there doing?
Nothing. Nothing.
Feeding Mary?
Nothing.
Uh-huh. I don't know if I answered you, Raymond.
That's very nice, Raymond.
Yes, it is. Now, what we've been doing is we have a regular Lazada guy, and at Christmas we always give stuff out, and then a few times a year we give things to the driver, and we gave him. I mean, we know it's not a lot, but like twice I've given him 500 pesos this month. So like once a week we've been giving him something. So like first time I told him to get himself something to eat, and I did it again. Because they're like our regular carriers and we know that they don't get tips, and it might be time to do it again, because a lot of the things, being George is out with the family and he picks certain things up, we do things like, I get the multivitamins, and we get like regular stuff through the mail because it's way cheaper through Lazada. So he does our regular deliveries and everything. So, but yes, that's very nice. And there have been signs. We just seen one on the news where a jeepney driver put up a note, and basically, what did it say?
This one actually somewhat went viral because it was out on the news. There's a sign. Usually, some jeepney drivers tend to put up signs inside their jeepneys.
They have
there's
here
stuff like that.
lately, yeah.
But this one specifically says, if I may have a word with you, ma'am, sir, if possible, if you could just add a little bit extra to your jeepney fare. The reason being is because of the high diesel prices, and because I'm sorry, I got distracted. There's something that popped up.
Yeah, it said the peso's going to probably
Right.
hit 61.
So because of the high diesel prices, and it even says that because of these prices, I literally go home with pennies.
It's true.
And it also says that during this time, the only one we can count on is ourselves. I don't think it meant as in ourselves, as just me, as in ourselves, as in us, as a community. Now, and then it also says that if you cannot afford to pay the fare or don't have enough, meaning you're short change basically, let me know. That way I can let you on the Jeep.
Basically, he's offering the rides also to
Right.
the
He's
poor.
also offering them, right, and then he says thank you for
So-
your understanding.
So it's a two-way street.
Yeah, it's a two-way street, and I mean,
Yeah. So which is really, really nice. So because that article or that page that I'm going to go through later, there were hundreds of comments. It's where Filipinos and expats were saying different things about the country. And a lot of those complaints I have and had when I first got here. The longer you're here, I think my eyes have opened up. We were discussing this the other day that now I understand why. I just had no understanding in the beginning. So then you start putting yourself in their shoes. I start thinking about when I was working or, raising the kids, and I start going back and I was like, yeah, I'd have done the same thing. Or, this is where they were born and raised, and Filipinos have pride. And there's just all kinds of things that are going on, and they've been through so much over the years, like, with different things with the government. And, you go back even further, it's, what do you call that? Colonization? Is that when all the other places tried to take over, like America and
Tried.
Spain?
they did.
Oh, okay, well, hey, give me a break, dude. I'm trying to be nice
They
here.
did. They
Okay.
did take over.
Okay. So, I'm trying to be, hey, sorry that it happened. But it's, yeah, so it's when the longer you're here, the more you have understanding, and you have to understand why you're here. You got to understand, you know, there's so much going on that goes through my head here lately. And I think with me being sick, I'm really seeing a lot more the last couple weeks. It's like, when you're looking at my immortality.
Are you immortal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As long as I got this oxygen on and those water pills, yeah. And I got George doing housework. I'm immortal.
Right.
Ah, shit. But yeah, so we'll go through that, and there'll be
Heidi's
a lot.
Highlander.
When was I getting high? When was I getting high?
I'm not gonna answer that. That's too easy.
Okay. Okay. Hi. Hi. I'm doing a little better. It's one day at a time. The medicine has me up and down. So it's like I got this initial boost and everything where the inflammation came down. And then it's like I overdid it. And, it's a balance of watching the salt and the water and everything. And then the last couple of days I've been down. So the medicine, you say it, I can never remember the new one. What's the latest one? You always hydrochloroquine, right?
Yeah. You can say
Right.
it.
Yeah,
You
almost.
said
I want to call it something else, but it does something to the stomach. Because they also at one point had me on a GLP-2, and I'm not diabetic. The testing clearly showed that. But when you're on those, it's like the metformin or GLP-1, GLP-2s, it screws with your stomach. It like does nothing but causes cramping, gas, stomach aches. It almost feels like a flu bug in your stomach, or almost like food poisoning for me. And so when that started, it was just like I had it, then it stopped. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm adjusting, and then it just came back again. And so it had me down almost 3 days in bed. So I was like, no, I got to get up. George goes, you're going to have to start sitting up. And I said, I know, but I've just been sleeping. So more tired and everything. So, but just one day at a time. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm getting tired of looking at George's face.
Right.
I'm glad to see those kitties, though. Hi, kitty.
What?
Nothing. Just watching you. Oh boy. Everybody saying their hellos in there. Raymond doing okay. And even when the war ends, it will still take months. No, I think so too. And if they're talking about rationing the gas from June to December, that's another 6 months. How are they going to ration the gas for 6 months? What they got remaining in July or June, babe? Yeah. I still think it's going to affect the electricity. That is my biggest fear. I told George the price I expect to go up. And I may have to sit here like we did at the other place. The first half of the day, we may not even use the AC, like a lot of Filipinos only use it at night. And we were turning ours on like at 6 o'clock at night. And then we got the efficiency one, but that still runs, I don't know, somewhere between 7 and 10,000 pesos a month. And yeah, so I don't know if they start raising the price, it could get insane.
Yeah, the gas that Heidi posted, that was the lower, cheaper gas in the area. Just so you
Yeah,
guys
at
know.
92. Yeah,
In fact, if you guys look at that picture, you'll notice it's a 2-lane road, one inbound, one outbound. What I'm saying is,
it's in the community post.
The only reason why I gas up in that station, I'm gonna be honest with you, because the road is so narrow. I use the gas station as a U-turn, but when I use the gas station as a U-turn, I gas in. You know what I mean? I pull in and gas up. That way I'm not one of those cut across the gas station type guys. So if I'm gonna pull in, I'm gonna gas up. And but they have the cheapest gas. But I have seen again yesterday, I didn't gas up yesterday. It was at 151. Not at that gas station. Because this is a gas station on a corner that nobody sees. So in order to stay competitive, it has to lower its rates. If that makes any sense. And it's ways
and not
down.
all
Yeah.
of them are at that
Right.
cost.
But on the main roads, the highest I've seen yesterday was 151. And again, I didn't take a picture because usually when I drive around, I don't take pictures.
Sure you do. What was that one at 117?
Yeah, this is at 117. But I mean, if you just look at that picture, that it's in a community post. If you look at the picture, look how narrow that road is. That's what I mean by using.
All right,
the road,
so that
the
is cheap. At the 117, that is $7.50 a gallon. If they put 3 gallons of gas in their 20-gallon jeepney, they're not going to go nowhere. They'll last for a few hours, maybe. And that's more than all their profit.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane. So how big do you think those tanks are on average? 15, 20 or more? If you had to guess. Anybody know how many? At least 15, maybe 20. I mean,
I
yeah.
would say 15 on average, if I were to guess.
Yeah, so even if
12.
Yeah, that's $112 to fill the tank every day. And how much do them drivers make after gas on a good day? So they're out $60, even if they made $40, even if they made 2,000 pesos a day.
At this rate, no, there's no way they can catch up.
No way at $60 loss. Plus the wear and tear, and so whether it's a tire that goes out or something else, and as a driver,
the Grab cab drivers back then they take home 1,000. Now they take home 500. And
so those will soon slow down.
Almost a month ago. Now I don't even know how much they make. They probably make 4 or 3.
I expect in another few months or another month or two, we won't be able to get anybody to deliver.
No, they won't. No.
We figure soon they won't do the deliveries, or it'll slow down to a few drivers that are willing to. And the same with getting the grabs and stuff.
Well,
and,
the motorcycles might still be able to deliver as long as there's gas.
Yeah.
Because a motorcyclist won't feel the gas pinch as much.
Well, the good thing is, as long as they have stock, let's get down to a worst case scenario. Well, I'm talking about like stock of groceries. We have some local markets within walking distance or our e-trike. We can just go right across the street or up the street. So within a 2-mile radius or less, or mile, it's not even a mile, we have SM, and then we have Walter Mart. So there's a lot of stores that we could go to, providing they have stock in a few months. So it's all down to Yeah.
Right. In the Philippines, again, as long as you're in one of the mainlands, which is Luzon or Mindanao, as long as you're close to the hub. And when I say hub, I'm talking about like the airport where they ship in, you know, groceries, deliveries, whatever. You're safer. But if you're one of those satellite islands, you're pretty much
Yeah, we
screwed.
thought about that. Yeah, aren't they stopping some flights to Siargao?
Yeah,
and
Siargao, for example, right now there are no flights to Siargao.
all or just what's it called?
From what I read, they weren't very specific. From it seems like all. I said seems, guys. Those in Siargao, let us know. But from
They're
what I
starting to
read,
stop flights.
they make it look like no flights ever. But again, I'm not there, and again, mind you, too, media exaggerates. You know, it doesn't matter how big that news station is,
Hell, we may be
they still
over.
exaggerate.
But I would still heed some warnings at this point where 2 weeks ago people are like, eh, and now here it is.
Well,
It's
for
going up every
example,
day. It seems like the gas price is going up.
right. And when I say close to the mainland, close to the hub, for example, Baguio is close to the hub, but Baguio is a mountain city. So therefore,
Wow, it's
even though it's
insane.
close to the hub, it's still far. Um, and they're having issues right now.
Oh God, and in Australia, let's big shout out to our girl Victoria over there. We just seen where the truck drivers have gone 500 kilometers in that one station. So the truck drivers are getting stranded, and I told you it was South
Yeah.
Australia, and in the other areas. So the truck drivers, but gas in some areas is $14. So that's insane. So they're running out. The other countries are starting to. They didn't have their prices raised. Now that's the one big complaint I keep hearing from expats and reading the post and stuff is there's a lot of gouging going on. Like the gas prices already. The LPG has gone up some, but they're getting ready to bring it up to 1,500. I think starting today, which is really crazy for Filipinos considering they make way less than 1,000 pesos, and then a tank of gas costs that. But that charcoal kindling stuff is up to 400 pesos a bag. Some people don't even make that a
They're
day.
real.
They can fake that coconut stuff.
Well, they can ship you a brick.
That's true. But so everything is going up. That's the insane part. So,
Yeah, we bought this charcoal. It's very good quality. The reason why it's good quality, you can tell it's dense, which means it'll burn longer. Coconut charcoal, for the most part, burns real fast, but it's super cheap. But that charcoal we got is it's heavy, and
yeah,
each bag comes with a starter brick, which is really nice.
yeah. I figure we get a
Speaking of
couple
which, we
uses.
probably need lighters.
You better get out there with 2 rocks, bitches.
You probably need lighters.
You better get out there with 2 rocks.
Seriously though, probably need lighters.
Where's that thing in our emergency box?
That doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. I showed you it did.
Oh well, I don't know where it is.
We got one of those like during the typhoon season. We had that emergency box that set by that, and I had him set it upstairs because that kind of passed. But we have one of those emergency flint things. But no, I think the lighter is down there because for the
Yeah.
candles. Spark it up.
Right.
Let's see. V power is 107. Sounds like a radio station.
Right.
Say it, George.
V Power 107.
Where we play the best rock and roll.
High octane all the time.
I guess.
Oh yes. Speaking of which,
Hey, Ronald. Good morning. Good
oddly enough,
morning.
Philippine gas is higher grade than in Europe, right?
Yeah, they're talking about bringing in that cheap stuff. George says, I ain't putting that in my baby.
Put it this way, guys.
No, they're talking
The-
about bringing in the stuff from Europe, which is weird
well,
because I
here's
thought they had.
in the U.S. the low grade is 87. Here, the low grade is 92.
I think that's what they used to have in the U.S. or still didn't they used to have an 86 or 87 in
The lowest
America?
I've seen is 87.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, yes. But
Yeah.
here, the lowest I've seen is 92. Unless they had lower and I never paid attention, but just saying.
Thank you so much, Ronald. You've been so sweet.
Oh, thank you so much, Ronald. Appreciate it.
Here's been my concern lately is that they're talking about the costs going up. And of course, we're still saving towards the goal. Um, all in all, if I had to put it all together, it's probably closer to we had the private donation we told you guys about the 5,000 went directly to the medical. So that is not even in hand. That's to be used towards the heart doctor and everything. So that was a direct to him. And then the other part is what we have from the page. So I think altogether with George's family's donation, we're at about 9,000. So we still need closer to 40. I think that cost is going to go up. They've been talking about the medical going up. But I don't know. I'd have to calculate what they're going to consider 5%, and it depends on how many stents. And then it depends if they can even do the stents. With the swelling going down and everything, and depending on the severity, then stent should be done again. He was still talking about the open heart surgery to do the bypass and everything. So we're still hoping for the stents and everything. So I stay on medicine and everything. So it's one day at a time. And since the outbreak in the Middle East happened, it's everybody's having their wallet hit, and we understand that too. But we just appreciate everybody's support for the channel, just the prayers and everything, because I know it's an unrealistic goal, and but we still hope that there's some sort of it's just good that I can get treatment now. So in other words, that person that made the direct um, money directly to the clinic and the heart doctor will help substantially, because each time the blood work's done, it's somewhere between $250, and they're going to be needing to do that. I'm going to have another not ultrasound. What do they call that I had? The echocard. Well, the echocardiogram. So to determine where we're at, to see if the heart action and all that, and where things are. And so, no, every bit has helped. And I told George, I said, I know it sounded dreary and everything. I said, but with me going to the lung doctor, the other doctor, the lupus doctor, and all that, just taking the extra meds has made me so much more comfortable, where I'm not sitting in bed, like leaning back, trying to breathe and stuff and struggling. So, and the bed's made a difference. So I am just grateful for that. And like I said, I'm immortal. I am immortal. I'm a superhero. I'm gonna whoop up on George's ass later. I'm gonna find out what you did. I'm gonna rewind that live stream and see what you were doing behind my back.
I don't know.
Anybody want to rat George out? What would George do when I was playing with the cat? You're a dead man walking. Hey, Victoria. Sorry, everyone, mostly listening, getting ready to go out with my little family. To visit your dad. Say hello to him, Victoria, for sure, and give him a big hug. Yay. Rice has gone up 49%. Who needs rice? We're not going to eat any more rice. That's too expensive, George.
Speaking of which, if you look at our thumbnail,
Love you.
that's actually very close or almost exact as what's going on here in the Philippines as far as gases and rice distribution.
Well, here's the thing. It said on the side, talking about the costs going up and stuff. Let me see where well, I don't want to mess with yours. Let me go in and take a look at the I'm just looking at the thumbnail again. Yeah, the expat complaints and stuff. Yeah, price hikers because the Filipinos, they talk about the other country and stuff, and all in all, it just seems like that's the only country that's taking advantage. You got India and these other countries, it's only gone up by, a little bit, and ours has almost doubled. And the prices too. Oh, we're not going to touch this and we're not going to lose that, but they are. Slowly they are. So yeah, see where they're talking about price hikers and stuff. But yeah, I don't know what all this is. But
Well, they can't read that. It's too small.
yeah, the reality of, what's actually going on and stuff. So I'm gonna bring up so that's crazy. But George, you ain't getting no more rice. No more rice, no more gas, no more ass. You're all out of it.
Right.
You better get down there and use your ears and your gears down on Walking Street. You got any gears there, George?
Right.
No? What gear do you have, George?
No clue.
You don't have a gear? Let's see how big your gear is. Uh-oh. No, not again. I'm looking for the article. You can.
Yeah, Hairwolf says, "Hi guys, Monty Crew has passed away. He was a friend of our love." Yes, yes. Unfortunately, may he rest in peace. Yes.
That's yes. I'm glad you brought that up. And as a matter of fact, I did have that written down. I have a note here. Yes, he passed away a few days ago, and very sadly leaves behind children, adult children in the U.S. and a young daughter here in the Philippines, and a wife. And he had a stroke and then had been fighting cancer, and then I believe, I could be wrong, remind me guys, that it spread to his lungs or something else. It just kept spreading, and it was expected for him to live so long. And I think he actually outlived longer than they thought, but it just all of a sudden he just went into the hospital, or what, something happened and he went in. So Old Dog had announced that. Condolences for his family. It was very sad. It was a couple days ago. I think it was during when I was sick and down and didn't do the live on Wednesday. I want to say it was Wednesday. Um, and so, hey, Ted, what is going on, Ted? Say hello, Ted. Hello, beautiful people. The low grade Euro gas is trash, like George's exes. Don't want that around no more. You have to think about that.
No.
The other one. Diesel was $4.99 last Friday, and Thursday it was $5.69 a gallon in northern Nevada. Yeah, that's got to be insane. I seen a guy fueling up in America, and he was just saying, "This is crazy." He says, "He goes, I don't make that much money or something." When you think about what they're, especially for the owner operators and stuff, if it just keeps, it's just crazy because truck drivers make money, but they don't make money. It's only if they don't, like a lot of them, can just be in their cab and live out of that and all that. But there's all those expenses. But a lot of them have families and homes on the side, and there's cost on the road. And, yeah, everybody in there. Low grades at high elevation, like Denver, Colorado. Yeah, yeah. Harry was just saying that. Yeah. The one item that was to be delivered, he came today. Yeah, that's for the fruit and vegetables. We've had the same knife that just won't sharpen no more for the fruits and vegetables. And no matter what, like George was trying to cut through the potatoes, so I got like a set of two. Had to. We couldn't get through it. It was like using a butter knife. It was insane. Oh, they have a name for Trump. It's Taco Trump. Always chickens out. Oh, that was Raymond. Did I say Ronald? Sorry. Gotcha. I'm like half asleep. That's all I want to do is sleep right now. I sleep more than George sleeps now.
Just
Eh. I saw on Asian news about the gas and the rice. Yeah, and it's all over Facebook. I'm trying to pull up this article. Oh, okay. I have 4 cases of Campbell's beef and barley and 4 cases of ravioli, 2 cases of instant meals, my camping gear. Yep, he's got the stove, fuel, and etc. Bread, biscuit mix, water to drink, and a pool full of water to wash. There you go. Sounds like a plan to me. We got like a couple things of the crackers so that way we could put peanut butter and tuna on it, and we got the rice and the pasta. So, hey, what is going on? Black Grandpa is in the house. Shout out Heidi and George from Canada. Say hey, Canada.
shout out to Canada.
Woo-hoo.
Hey,
Hey. Da, 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 da. Is the gas shortage affecting Angeles City? I see people walking in masses in parts of the Philippines.
not like that. Like for instance, like honestly, it took me a while to figure out that there's no jeepneys. Um,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the traffic is still there. It's still a lot of cars out there, and my uncle, he said, "Oh, there's no cars out there yet," and then I was like, "There's no way, there's no way." And what it is there's no jeeps.
And some of the
That's
trikes
the
are,
difference.
yeah.
The, because the jeeps are the one that hold traffic, and without the jeeps to hold traffic, it I wouldn't say it seems empty because honestly, actually I sent a picture to
Well,
to Heidi. Point being is
yeah, I made a
even with that
post. The community post shows
even
the
with
gas
that
prices,
picture,
yeah.
well, what I'm saying is you, you
Oh,
you can't tell that there's no jeeps because there's cars everywhere, and that's the thing. Like, because when my uncle says there's no cars, it means there are cars. It's still heavy traffic, but you just don't. You just it just seems that way because the jeeps aren't there. The traffic isn't standstill. Does that make sense?
yeah, it's
Now
not
it's
like
flowing.
Manila and being out in the
Right.
province or stuck out on one of these islands where they're having limited boats. But the costs are starting to go up, and we're seeing items that are
Right, and there
disappearing in
there are
certain areas.
still
The
like
costs are going up.
it's kind of like this too. That remember, even though when I say there's no jeeps, of course there's jeeps, but there's not as many anymore. There's like far in between. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's enough. There's enough jeeps that people still can go to and from work. If that makes any sense, they're still there. They're just not as like I said. Like I was looking around. I was like, wait a minute. There's no jeeps around me. You know what I mean? As opposed to there's always a jeep in front of me. There's a jeep right next to me. You know, they're everywhere, and but it still doesn't help. Here's the problem I see because people say, "Oh, it's a lot safer to drive now." No, it's not. It's worse. You know why? Because with less cars or jeeps, here comes the camote riders. Camote rider. Camote is potato. Well, it's a sweet potato, but it's in America or in Europe when they say you're a potato, that means you're stupid. Because you're only good enough to pick up potatoes. Um, when they say rider, which means you're a motorcycle. So when they call you a potato rider, that means you're a dumbass on a motorcycle. Like yesterday, I had another motorcyclist that just cut me off while I was making a turn. While I was making that turn, he cut me off this way. So wait a minute. I'm headed that way and you're headed that way, but you're gonna cut me off. I could have run him over. But whatever.
Maybe they'll make an open law or something. Every man for himself.
Well, first off, they really should not allow splitting of lanes. I'm going to be honest with you. Lane
Yeah.
splitting is a bad idea in the Philippines.
Is that legal or?
It's legal, yes, but it's not illegal. But when you get into an accident, you're liable because you're not supposed to be there. It's kind of like you're not. It's not illegal, but you're not still supposed to be there. Does that make any sense? They can't put you to jail for it. They can't give you a ticket for it, but you're still not supposed to be there.
Hey Jennifer, how's it going? She says it's 204.9 a liter in Vancouver Island. Yeah, it's getting crazy everywhere. That is for sure. All right, so that would make it like $7. She said it's 204 a dollar per liter. Okay, so yes, Monty was a friend of mine. He came back to the Philippines after pandemic and had a stroke, yeah, and a couple heart attacks, and then later, yeah, the cancer. Extremely sad.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. What's the reason for less jeepneys? Drivers still need an income.
they can't. Well, the income. That's the thing. Why work for free? What a lot of
Of
people
course.
don't realize when these drivers gas up and they drive all day, in the end they end up not making money at all. Either they break even, which means they have nothing to bring home.
Yeah,
to.
on average, it's
Bring
$90 to
home,
$100.
I mean, if they bring 50 pesos, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
90 to 100. We just said at the
Right.
one here in
And
town, it's
they
100.
work long hours. They work like 12-hour shifts. They work a long time. So,
Yeah,
what's
they
the
need the
point?
income. Yeah.
They could have been doing something else and be more productive and make more money. You know, if a jeepney driver works for a handyman, fixes something so simple, he would probably make 100 pesos, 200 that day. Versus right now, most of them aren't even breaking even. The reason being, for those of you wondering, how can there not be breaking even, is because
Thank you.
it's because of the gas prices so high, it does not accommodate the fare. The price of the fare didn't really change. I mean, sure, it changed a couple pesos, but what a couple pesos going to do?
Yeah, so it's, hey, good morning, our
You know,
Philippine
And I
journey.
mean, literally a couple pesos. That's the real difference. Literally, it was like what, from 13 to 15? No, really, it's stupid, and they're not making money. So
The gas has doubled, so where they were only putting
Correct.
$30 a day in there, it's up to 100 and something, or 40. It's costing 80 or 90. It's just not. I get it. I get
yeah, and then
why.
you have wear and tear on the vehicle, and then they're sucking all these fumes, and then they take the risk of getting into an accident or getting robbed. No, it's becoming not worth it anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm actually going through the complaints of people. I seen one older American yell at a security guard outside of Mall of Asia. I'm an American citizen too. I have the right. You can't tell me what to do. The person says they're full of entitlement and they should have been banned. Yeah, we see a lot of that, and it's hard because the first thing when you get here, you're complaining about the heat and how the traffic is, and you're trying to adjust how things are done, and you either actually adjust into it or it becomes a problem. And a lot of these guys have been here for a long time and they still do that. That is for sure. This person said they're complaining about the dirty streets, the unhealthy food, the lying, the cheating, and the scamming of the Filipinos. Their poor communication, they don't follow on the rules or policies. This person didn't hold back. Poor food safety practices, they'll cut in line, their lack of manners. And then the person poses because they're talking about it also being, is it cultural or something? And they're like, are these things cultural or just a lack of education and training or the way they are? Because they all seem like very personal attributes that came from an expat. What do you think?
You just said it. These are personal attributes.
So that's like on each individual, kind of like me. Yeah, you can't say that all Americans would cuss or have an attitude, or when I'm not PMSing, but yeah, when I'm
Well, it's upbringing too. That's how you can tell new generation from old generation. It's kind of like in the U.S., guys. I mean, at our age, you guys know what I'm talking about.
This person said, respect the culture. Be a target for the Philippines' racism. Be a target for their resentment of those who have more than them. Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, is that it?
Yeah, that's all they wrote.
All right.
The next comment on people. We jumped into, if I didn't say, we jumped into the main topic.
The thing with that is there's some truth to that, but there's also part truth of that. It's kind of like that's overgeneralizing people, and that also tells me where they're living. And what I'm saying is, for example, we live in this neighborhood. Again, we have really, really rich people around us, and there's some really, really poor living around us too. This is a diverse neighborhood, and when we said there's a high-powered person living here, yes, we're not joking about that either. And no, and their families like they're filthy rich and whatever, and shoot. But anyway, point being is, but there are some really, really poor people. So, for example, here in this neighborhood, do I see these people who resent me or Heidi because of our social standing? Not that we have any, but in their eyes, yes. They're the ones that respect us. Yes. They're the ones that are neutral. Yes, it's all of them. Now, what I'm saying is, if all you see are people who resent you, there's two things that are probably working. It's either one, you guys are just plain old assholes and everybody hates you because you're just an asshole. Or two, you're living in an on a real older, poorer community that most of the people resent you because somehow you decide to live in that area. It's kind of no different than if you're poor, you live in a rich area, you're kind of out of place. What I'm saying at that point, you guys have to think of the dynamics. If you're a really rich person, you live in a poor area, people will resent you. If you're a really poor person, you live in a rich area, people will hate you. You guys get my point because you're out of place. So, from what I'm hearing from that, if all he sees are people who resent him, he may be in the wrong location. Now, on the same subject, I'm not saying that area is poor or anything, because I actually telling Heidi this. I was in Magalang, far, far away. Not Magalang is like Mabalacat, it's like a big area. So I'm not citing any particular area, and I'm not saying that that area is poor, but it's very rural. Okay, there's expats out there with scooters, okay, or e-trikes, and they're everywhere. So depending on where they are in that location, they may be out of place. Some people may love them because they may be taking advantage of them, even if they don't know it. Because if you're very generous, you're not aware you're being taken advantage of. So they may pretend that they like you, or see. Here's the thing, though: when you're overly generous and people are taking advantage of you, the real truth is those people would resent you.
Yeah.
That's why they're taking advantage of you, because
It says here, yeah, a few Filipinos,
Yes.
The expats complain. So they know So you'll know how bad the country is, but it's just bad because
You guys
yeah,
just
it's
have
like
to be aware of your
yeah,
people around you.
it's kind of like feeding the honey to the bees. If you give them vinegar, they're going to be pissed off. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
and
like
remember, when people are always too nice around you, that's a bigger problem because
yeah, because it says here because the tourists think that they are better than the locals and that the locals need to cave into them. And they've been, it to me, the first thing I noticed is they were being nice to my wallet, not to me
correct.
specifically.
That's what I mean.
But
Be
you still
careful.
need to, like, there's a lot of expats that come here that feel they're way above them. They do it when they're dating, they do it with the women,
Yeah,
they
that's
do
a
it with
fact.
buying the
That's a fact
family.
too.
Like when they start dating the family, they start buying everything thinking they're, they have like some sort of not the Savaho tribe thing. It's where they feel some sort
Well,
of
there's a superiority complex.
yeah, where they're buying, doing, and the head of a household. All of a sudden, they've got a bunch of family underneath them that
Now
are
keep in
needing them.
mind the superiority complex. I'm not. This is not restricted to Americans. A lot of Europeans and Americans. Again, I'm not saying all Americans have this. The superiority complex is real, and I'm not joking. And before the internet, okay, because most of the people here in the room are aware, have existed before the internet. Before the internet, Americans and Europeans somewhat already have a bad reputation because of the superiority complex. This is, and this is not restricted to the Filipinos. I've spoken to a lot of racists in different parts, wherever, and they all speak, oh yeah, those Americans. Again, I'm not, don't quote me on this. I'm paraphrasing here. Oh, those Americans, they think they're better than everybody. I've spoken to a lot of different races, and this is the consensus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's already there before the internet. And now, guess what? Because the internet, and guess what? The internet shows everybody the Karens. So now, again, remember, this is not restricted to Americans. I only said that because back then, even right now, actually, when they say American, you can be Australian, they still call you American. You
That
can be
is
German, they'll still
true.
call you American. You get the picture. If you're Caucasian, that's the word they use for
Consensus, yeah,
American. Yeah.
it is.
So just remember that.
Yes, it was. I think it was called the Crew Family channel, is what was the name of the channel. And Philippines said 13 pesos last night from the checkpoint jeepney. I stopped gas San Francisco and paid $5.99 for regular. Yeah, the Crew Family, Philippines. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Hey, Sultan. Good morning. Hey, Chamber.
Yeah, the 13 pesos.
Thank you so much, Chamber
See,
PH, for the
The
support.
thing is, I don't ride jeepney, so I don't know the current price. But I remember last time I rode it, it was 13 pesos. However, there was something passed that they said they would increase it to 15. Now, remember too that we're in Angeles too. What I'm saying is, for example, if you
They're
go,
on Facebook. I was just
yeah. Well, what I'm saying is in on the e-bikes, for example, you're not allowed to ride your e-bike unless it's registered and has a plate and everything. Not, but remember, in Angeles, they still don't follow that rule.
Oh, I'm gonna be using that e-trike.
No, I'm just saying that they, again, I don't ride, so therefore I don't know. But I do remember riding it before they allegedly increased it. It was 13 pesos. Yes, they were supposed to increase it from 13 to 15. However, I don't know if it's just Angeles who didn't follow this rule, or if it's in Manila it's 15. I don't know.
Yes, thank you so much, Chamber, for the
Thank you so much, Chamber.
support.
Appreciate it so much. The art of sponging, send more sips. There you go.
Being nice to my wallet. Yeah. No, there's more of them here. This person says they don't get it. It's organized chaos, but it is the Philippines, which is the first thing you do have to recognize. That is for sure. Where was that at? Pull it down, and then it says, and just because you show up with three Western ways and money, they think they have the right to do this. They forget they are guests. If they want to keep disrespecting and complaining, easily pack your bags up and fuck off back where you came from. That's what they said.
Well, actually, well, Scott saw it, probably still in flight right now. So when I was speaking to Scott yesterday, oh well, was it yesterday or the day before? But anyway, no, it was the day before. When I was speaking to Scott the day before, he told me that when he was standing at the store, it was kind of like not a sorry story, but it is, but it's not. It's one of those. Remember that store you go to that you walk? It's a walk-in store, and they have the shelves, and it's like a mini
Little
7
mini
Eleven.
mart, right?
Yeah, it's like yeah, thank you. It's a mini mart. So he was in the mini mart. He was buying, little stuff for the family and stuff.
Hey, Laura. Good
And
morning.
a Filipino walk up right next to him, and he says, "Daddy, can you please buy me this, buy me that?" And he doesn't know this guy, no clue who this guy was, but he started calling him Daddy and asking Scott to buy him stuff.
Hey, good idea.
Right. So my point is because if he wasn't a foreigner, they wouldn't have done that. But he was a foreigner, and
He
that's
was
why they
doing
did
it.
that.
Yeah, you
So
will
technically, that is
find.
harassment. You know what I mean? So yeah, and in a way, it is disrespect. A form
There's,
of disrespect.
well, you know
Yes.
what? There is viable complaints from all sides where Filipinos are fed up with this, but this has been going on since the beginning of time,
Correct.
since foreigners have been coming here,
Correct.
30s, 40s,
This is before
1950s,
the internet.
60s.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is before the internet.
And it's valid on both sides because there is a lot that the foreigners put up with. And I've been to many countries, and this is the first country I have come to, and I thought Mexico was really poor, and so was Egypt, but I didn't get harassed. Some of the family members harassed me when I was in Egypt, but it's the family wanting things because you showed up gifts. Kind of like when you show up here, they expect you to bring something, or they expect you to bring the
Right.
gifts back from America to you. But it's the one place I felt like when we first got here, and it still happens where the kids or adults will walk up and ask for things. In some areas, including the tourist areas, you really get harassed. So I get where the validity of these people
No, no, no.
on
Yeah,
both sides.
there's
Philippine, both
no.
sides are
You have to look at
valid,
both sides. Yeah.
and every person's going to be individual. I've read through some of these comments where Filipinos are ashamed of their own people, where there's different things going on. But we could say the same in America or Canada or somewhere, where they're ashamed of the things the fellow people are doing to foreigners that arrive over there and stuff. You arrive in America, you could get scammed by Americans, overcharged, overpriced, led in the wrong direction. So it's kind of like I'm now realizing it's where at first I was like, oh my God, Filipinos or Philippines. It's like, oh shit, this happened everywhere I've been. So then you realize and normalize things where it's just like, okay, well, you just fit in where you get in situation.
Right.
It's
Well,
yeah.
and I mean, it's kind of a hard balance. What I mean is, like for instance, me. Okay, first off, I'm obviously not American, but when I was looking for a house for me and Heidi to live in, I mean, because we lived in an Airbnb for a while. Um, when I was looking for a house, and I talked to the cops, the local cops, where I could rent a house and everything. One of them bluntly said this, and mind you, I'm not foreign, but to them apparently I'm foreign enough because they said,
Get me.
"Yeah, I know a few of places available, but they're not for you. They're they're not for you. You want something nice." That's what he basically said.
George
And
always getting me skin taxed. Sometimes I have to rough him up before he goes out and rip his shirt and
right,
everything.
this is important.
Rub his face in
Because, for
the plant.
example, one of the places I found available, that's how I knew one of the places where you can get illegal substances. Because when I was looking for a place, I came across an apartment and it was price was okay, and then but I asked around there, asked around the neighborhood. I said, what do you guys think of that apartment complex? And they're like, no, don't live there. That's where the dealers live. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that
So,
one.
point being is, if you're not assertive and active enough, me and Heidi could be literally living in one of those rook ends. You know what I'm saying? No. So you have to ask around and ask the right people and learn. You can't just
Yeah.
blindly. That's it. Great place. It's cheap. No, man, don't do that. Don't do that.
It also says in here some foreigners were never exposed to other cultures. Yeah, a lot of them never left America, Canada, the UK, or nothing. And it also mentions about, which we've talked about, bringing their mentality. A lot of them will never change. You can expect some things like me. I adjusted to the heat, but still complain. And I used to say that Filipinos, I still do on the occasion say they're passive or too aggressive, or there's just different things. But I realize now that's an individual trait, like in America and other
Yes.
places. And I'm
Yes.
learning that. So, some people can learn. Some days I feel like I'm not, but it's stating in here that, yeah, some people just don't change, nor have they ever been anywhere. So it's like they don't know how to act or something. Yeah, you heard your mom say, I can't take you nowhere. You don't know how to act anywhere. It's just like, I can't take you nowhere.
Right.
So
Right.
it's kind of like that. Yeah. It says here that expats and people are just expressing their frustrations, and it's normal. People come here for different reasons, which is true, but many choose to stay here because they're trying to build a life with someone they love, which is true. A lot of people ask me, besides being sick and me going back, they asked me way before, well, if you don't like it, then you could go home. Because I heard that from many expats and other Filipinos, and it's like, because, we made this journey to come here, and there was a whole point of doing it. So it was going to be our long-term plan anyway. So we just came early because of the pandemic. And so it's like I get that part of it. So it's without people speaking up, and that's another thing, and I think you already know this, the Filipinos, are I still think there's a side of them being passive and too nice where a lot of things are let go. Like there's certain things they just seem like they're too nice of a people to do something. I think even at some point we discussed that. Although they did rise up over Marcos and all of that at one point, like you said, they kicked ass back then.
Well, it's still the same people, but
I think they let things go too far.
okay. Well, here's the thing.
And I guess there's only so much they can do. We're talking about like the flood thing with the money and the. I think they just trust the government way too much more than I can't. That I guess that goes on anywhere.
Now, the thing is about Filipinos, a great majority of them are passive aggressive, which is worse. I like, okay, for instance, like Heidi. Okay, Heidi's not passive aggressive. I'm passive aggressive.
I can be sometimes.
So technically, I'm worse. And what I mean by that is, if Heidi's mad at you, you know she's mad at you.
Yeah, I can't help myself.
If I'm mad at you, I'll keep it in, and that's worse. Reason being is,
Well, you just won't talk to the person. Yeah, you keep it in, and then you don't talk to them for a while.
well,
yeah, you give them
that's on a personal level. But if
Yeah,
you're
that's
just an acquaintance, that's a different story. You will never know. But what I'm saying is,
Ew, sorry.
here in the Philippines, it's the same thing. I mean, they're mostly passive aggressive, but there you have the hotheads, the bad boys. Now, the thing is,
Ugh.
it's normal human behavior to avoid the bad boys, the one that lose their cool and everything real fast. But here's the thing: once they're pissed, the next day they're fine and it's over with. But the rest, no, they'll keep that anger tucked inside and wait till when you're most vulnerable, and then when you're down on the ground, that's when they'll kick you. You know what I'm saying? These are the ones that put sugar in your gasoline tank. These are the ones that will report you that, oh, what's that? His business expired? That kind of deal. these are the ones that
Yeah,
will
that hold
actually
on to it.
hurt
Yeah.
you where it hurts. Versus
You're going to do.
hotheads, they're usually more physical and
Hi,
more,
Lord.
you know what I mean? But at least it's in your face. There's, it's kind of like, it's just honesty, I guess. It's at least they're honest with you without them realizing it, that they're honest with their feelings. Versus these other people around you that connive and plot against you. So, unfortunately, that's
A
the
lost
majority
in
of
the
Filipinos
PH.
are. They're passive aggressive. Speaking of
Yeah.
passive aggressive, look what I got, Heidi.
Oh, yeah. I was feeling really sick yesterday, and George picked me up a gift. Remember, we were talking about the people carrying around the Trader Joe's bag? He had my name put on it.
Yeah, or Trader Joe's. Yeah, I had Heidi's name put on it. There.
I could carry that just up to the gate and to the bathroom. I could carry my stuff in there and put a cat in there.
It's when we go to the hospital because, oh my gosh, that's where I got the idea from.
So I could have something. Yeah, I've had the same backpack forever. We've had that for like 6 years. I won't let it go. It's all scroungy and stuff. It's got little teddy bears on it. Are the OFWs returning? Yes, they are. I think they brought back 2, maybe 3 planes worth, and they're planning on bringing back more. There's a lot. We had discovered, what was the country? Jordan had the most, 30 or 40,000 alone. And then Israel, I could be off on the numbers. I don't have them in front of me. 19,000. It was more than I thought in those Middle Eastern countries. I would have thought that Dubai and those countries like that had the most, in Saudi, but they had the least amount.
Oh, crap. I've never...
Bye, Victoria.
No, I should check to see if my friend came back already. Because he works in one of those nations.
Black Grandpa says, whenever I travel to Jamaica, I don't talk when money is involved. I let my friends or family because I do the price, it'll skyrocket. Yeah, the foreign tax. Yeah, you'll learn early on. That's why a lot of times I was buying at the mall online, or, if we use the same vendors, because there's been a few times where the price doubled, and I'm like, we knew that it wasn't the right price, and George says, just don't go back. We didn't go back to have it out with them. We just walked away and never went back. So, yeah, I don't know where the question comes from. We never did say George was on disability. Yeah. So, George's job is the YouTube channel and taking care of me. So, let's see. Please do tell us Filipinos, Kuya George. Oh, because you was answering
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. Yeah. You. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody ever said that.
Yeah. Nobody ever said that he was. And you're just a jerk. Probably know exactly who you are. And honestly, don't care. You're so misinformed. You're just an idiot. Talk about a potato head. Worse than a potato head. Nothing
No,
in
they
there.
just make up stuff.
No, everything is
They
just
like
made up.
It doesn't even make any sense.
No. We've been doing this channel for over 5 years and nobody ever said that. So now you are. So. Oh. Yeah, that's weird. And then you created a second account to keep it up. So nobody ever said that.
No, false claims.
Yeah.
Nothing new. That's the price to pay when you're on YouTube, guys. Well,
it's content for other people because these are other vloggers. They're evidently the other vloggers. So let's see. Yeah, that's a weird statement. So Hey, what's going on? Hi, guys. You're looking happy and well, lady from Melbourne, from Australia. Hey, Australia. What is going on? So, I guess we will continue on some of these comments. Like, what's going on? What's going on? The squeaky wheel gets greased, meaning the voices of concern is necessary to trigger change. Not so much here or really anywhere, but I guess people have the right to voice that because right now the Philippines tourism is just going down the drain. We were talking about that. And now with this gas crisis, it's really going to, they're working hard today. That one too.
Yeah.
So they just had like I just seen like Vietnam and I seen Cambodia recently, and I was asking George, like everything looks so modern, clean, picked up, and all of that. And I know that there's a lot of Filipinos working towards that. Like there's been a lot of improvements, like during the pandemic and after the pandemic that we've sit here and watched in the Philippines. New businesses coming up and everything, but a lot of the other countries, the biggest reason they come here is the friendliness and the English, but they are speaking more and more in these other countries, and they're losing tourism to these other countries and where people are retiring too. So, but will they make the change, and are they going to keep losing money? Because Philippines is a great place to come if there's a lot of other things done. Like to me, the sanitation issue is a problem. It's there's a lot of different things. The power outages, which they have in other countries too. So,
Speaking of
a complaint about complaining.
in Interlock, there's this river in Interlock, right? It's well, of course, depending on the season and time, but it's usually not too deep. The river is really clear. It's a crystal clear river. And in Tarlac, they have these. They look like Nepa huts on stilts on the water, and they're connected by a bunch of bamboo bridges. And what it is, you can rent these Nepa huts for like 500 to 1,000, depending on the size, of course. Um, so you rent these, and what it is, what you do is you rent these little huts. You stay there all day and you swim in the river. And it's a nice crystal clear river in Tarlac right here in Pampanga. Very nice, very nice. That because Heidi was talking about tourism, but these little what do you call that? Hidden gems, as it were. Those are hidden gems, literally. Like, because honestly, I've never heard of this. If it wasn't for social media, I would have never known.
No,
Yeah.
there's a lot. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
different places, and there's a lot of them here
And
too.
also, kind of like, for example, pre-internet, like, there's Pagsanahan Falls. There's these very popular falls. But there's waterfalls everywhere. You know what I'm saying? If you just know where to look. It's kind of like same thing in Mexico. There's waterfalls everywhere if you just know where to look. And guess what? Where there's waterfalls, there's a little basin where you can swim. So it's kind of like there's a bunch of these here in the Philippines that might be just right around the corner if you live here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It says, funny how foreigners are expected to be kind, helpful, and generous, but not expect anything to change. Huh, good statement. They don't have to be snooty either. There's a level of handling that, would be my response to that. Because I said in the beginning when I kept hearing, if you don't like it, leave. And I'm like, well, shit, I live here now. I've permanently moved. I'm not going back because change can't be made or I can't adjust. It's going to take time. But there's a balance of having that attitude and chip on your shoulder too. So when they say that foreigners are expected to be kind and be helpful and generous. Yeah, because here's the problem. When I don't want to give big tips or when we don't want to buy a lot of extra stuff, we do get the rudeness or the sometimes not all the time, but we just get like that look like that's it. So yeah, we
No.
don't have to,
but most of those looks are from these people who are used to dealing with Americans.
yeah. So it's
Or
kind of
foreigners.
yeah, because tipping has become more and more here lately, but it wasn't really much of a tipping culture. And now it's kind of like,
See, over tipping in the Philippines, it's like it is an economy. It is its own economy. You're ruining it for the next person, whether you admit it or not, whether you're in denial or not. It is ruining it for the next person because you're basically grooming that person to like, oh, hey, if I, you know, take care of foreigners, I get X amount of tip. And guess what? Not every foreigner is rich.
yeah. The OFWs are returning because the Middle Eastern countries are in the middle of all the crisis right now.
Right.
So all of them are being attacked at one point or another. They're not going to leave them there. So
Right.
in other words, I think they've all been hit by drones and it's unsafe. They've been asked to return.
Some actually have reported it.
Attack. So
an
yeah.
attack nearby and got arrested because they're apparently not allowed to record. And put
No,
it on
they're
social
returning in
media.
masses because
Yeah.
of the crisis in the Middle East. So most definitely. George has always got a target on his back because they love him and love me. When they can't get to me, then they try to get to him with all their misinformation, and it's hilarious. So, but yeah, I think guys, we will wrap this up. I'm gonna George. I'm gonna give George a break. You can just take care of the cats. No, and I won't force you to watch that deadly women. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it's not safe there anymore. Yeah, most definitely. All right, guys. Well, should be back on Monday if George, survives his weekend at
Yeah, those stairs are looking slippery every day.
yeah. So we appreciate everybody coming
Bye,
in
guys. Thank you so
today.
much. We
Sarah
appreciate you
and
all.
Victoria.
Yep. Number one
My
fan
grandpa.
today is
Thank you,
Sarah.
Chamber.
Number two is Chamber, PH, and number three, Ted. You are number three today. Thank you so much for your
Harry and Ronald, thank you so
thank you
much.
so much for your support. And you too, Chamber. Thank you for your support.
Laura, thank you so much. All right, guys. Gonna get some rest and we will talk to you guys later. Say goodbye, George.
Bye, guys.